Listen closely, because what I'm about to share isn't for the weak. It's not for the people who want to play nice, fit in, or keep everybody happy. This is for men who want to rise, dominate, and move through life with dangerous intelligence. If you've ever felt like life keeps you chained, overlooked, or underestimated, this is your moment to break that pattern. Machiavelli didn't write The Prince for dreamers. He wrote it for leaders who were willing to look reality in the eye. Leaders who understood that power isn't given, it's taken. Respect isn't handed out, it's commanded. And intelligence, true intelligence, isn't soft. It's sharp, it cuts, it gets results. That's what makes it dangerous. Today, we begin with Lesson 1. Stop believing in fairness. The world loves to sell you the illusion of fairness. Teachers tell you that if you work hard, you'll be rewarded. Bosses say effort gets noticed. Society preaches that good people win. But open your eyes. Is that the truth? No. Look around. Corrupt politicians rise to the top. Ruthless businessmen own everything. Liars dominate headlines. Life isn't fair. It never was. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He said, men are driven by two things, fear and self-interest. Not fairness, not morality, not justice. When you understand this, you stop expecting the world to play nice. And the moment you stop expecting fairness, you stop being blindsided when the knife comes for your back. So how do you become dangerously smart here? You adopt the mindset of a strategist. When others cry about what's fair, you're already 3 moves ahead. When someone tries to cheat you, you've already calculated your counterattack. When the system blocks you, you find the back door. The weak wait for fairness. The strong build systems where they control the rules. Take this in. Fairness is a trap for the obedient. Once you see through it, you unlock the ability to act with ruthless clarity. That doesn't mean being reckless or cruel. It means being realistic. Dangerous intelligence comes from refusing to live in illusions. Here's the takeaway for this first part. Stop expecting fairness. Assume people act out of self-interest. Analyze every situation by asking, what do they want? What do they fear? Build your moves on reality, not hope. When you start living like this, you become harder to manipulate, harder to exploit, and harder to defeat. You become the man who doesn't whine about fairness. He bends reality to his will. Next, we'll go into Machiavelli's second ruthless lesson, why being feared is safer than being loved, and how to master that balance in modern life. Stay sharp. Stay ruthless. Let's continue. Machiavelli's most famous line is simple but brutal. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Weak men hate this. They cling to being liked. They bend over backward to please others, thinking respect will follow. But here's the truth. Love is conditional. Love is soft. Love fades when it's inconvenient. Fear, on the other hand, creates a wall no one dares to cross. Being feared doesn't mean being a tyrant or cruel for no reason. It means projecting power. It means setting boundaries that no one can ignore. It means making it clear, betray me, disrespect me, or threaten me, and the consequences will be swift. Ask yourself, when have you been burned the most? Was it when someone loved you, or when someone feared you? Love lets people feel safe to betray. Fear keeps betrayal locked behind their teeth. But Machiavelli also warns, don't become hated. Hatred leads to rebellion. Fear without hatred is the sweet spot. That's the balance of dangerous intelligence. Be respected for your capability, feared for your boundaries, but never hated for your recklessness. Modern application, stop begging for approval. Stop bending for acceptance. Build your image around competence, decisiveness, and unshakable standards. Love is nice. Fear is safer. The man who is both? Untouchable. People rarely see truth. They see appearances. Machiavelli says it's not necessary to be virtuous. It's only necessary to appear virtuous. This is where most men fail. They waste energy trying to be what society wants instead of controlling how they're seen. Perception is power. If people believe you're competent, confident, and in control, they'll treat you as such. If they believe you're weak, hesitant, or desperate, you'll be dismissed no matter what's inside. Dangerous intelligence means building the mask strategically. Present strength even when you're uncertain. Present calm even when you're calculating. Present confidence even when you're planning 10 moves ahead. People rarely test what they believe is solid. In your career, your relationships, your ambitions, guard your perception like a weapon. Truth is private. Perception is public. Learn to master both, and reality bends in your favor. Machiavelli understood the art of secrecy. A prince who exposes every intention becomes predictable, and predictability is death in strategy. You want to be dangerously smart? Then stop explaining yourself. Stop broadcasting every thought, every goal, every weakness. Silence makes people uneasy. Mystery keeps them cautious. The ruthless lesson here: speak less, reveal less, but observe more. People reveal themselves when you give them silence. They rush to fill it, exposing their plans, their fears, their insecurities. Meanwhile, you remain the unreadable strategist. In war, the strongest generals never reveal their real attack until the enemy has already committed. In life, the same applies. Show decoys, hide your true aim, and strike only when you're certain of victory. Control your tongue, guard your strategy. Silence is your ally. Rigid men break. Adaptable men thrive. Machiavelli understood that fortune, the unpredictable chaos of life, favors those who can shift with the winds. He compared fortune to a violent river. If you stand rigid, it sweeps you away. But if you build levees, channels, and diversions, you can harness it, even tame it. Adaptability isn't weakness, it's power. Weak men confuse stubbornness with strength. They cling to old methods, old habits, old identities, even when the world around them changes. And then they wonder why they get left behind. Dangerous intelligence means being ruthless enough to kill what no longer serves you. Think about the men who failed. Generals who stuck to outdated tactics, businesses that ignored technology, men who refused to evolve their mindset. They got crushed. Why? Because they worshiped consistency instead of results. Here's how you apply ruthless adaptability. Detach from identity. Don't cling to being the nice guy, the loyal worker, or the traditionalist. Be whoever the moment requires. Study environments. Observe shifts in culture, business, or relationships, and position yourself early. Pivot quickly. Don't wait for permission. When you see the tides change, change with them before others notice. A dangerously smart man isn't chained to one version of himself. He's fluid. He can be a warrior today, a diplomat tomorrow, a strategist the day after. Adaptability makes you untouchable because no one can predict or trap you. Indecision is death. Machiavelli warned that hesitation destroys leaders faster than defeat. Why? Because when you hesitate, you show weakness. You give enemies time to maneuver. You let opportunities slip away. The world doesn't respect men who linger in maybe. It respects men who act. Even a risky decision executed with confidence carries more weight than endless waiting. Think of Caesar crossing the Rubicon. Think of Alexander charging headfirst into battles others thought impossible. Their decisiveness created momentum, and momentum creates fear. Now, decisiveness doesn't mean recklessness. Machiavelli said the wise leader calculates carefully, but once the path is chosen, he commits fully. Half measures destroy trust. If you want to be dangerously smart, you must master this balance. Deliberate in thought, ruthless in action. Here's your application. Set deadlines for decisions. Never linger in uncertainty. When you move, move hard. Make your actions undeniable. Don't explain, just execute. The more you explain, the more doubt creeps in. Dangerous intelligence isn't about having the perfect plan. It's about executing a strong plan so decisively that no one dares challenge you. Machiavelli understood human psychology. People value what is rare, and they dismiss what is abundant. If you make yourself too available, too common, too eager, you destroy your value. Scarcity is power. When people feel they can't easily access you, when your time and attention are rare, they treat you as precious. When you're everywhere, always saying yes, always available, you become cheap. This principle applies to everything. Your presence. Don't attend every event. Show up strategically. Your words. Don't talk endlessly. Say less, make it count. Your energy. Don't give it freely. Invest it only where returns are high. Even kings and rulers understood this. They appeared rarely, with ceremony, creating awe. The average man walked the streets daily. The ruler appeared like a force of nature. Scarcity made him untouchable. Application for modern life. Stop oversharing. Mystery breeds interest. Value your time. Treat it as gold, and others will too. Withdraw strategically. Sometimes power comes from absence. not presence. Dangerously smart men know that being seen less makes every appearance carry more weight. Attention, if you don't control the story, someone else will. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. Information is power. It builds reputations, destroys enemies, and influences decisions before a word is even spoken in public. Too many men today give away their thoughts freely, posting every move online, letting anyone dissect their plans. That's weakness. A man who reveals his every intention becomes predictable, and predictability is death in a world of power. You need to master the art of selective silence. Speak only when it benefits you. Share information strategically, not habitually. When you control what others know, you control their perceptions, their decisions, and even their emotions. Machiavelli advised rulers to hide their true motives while projecting an image of honesty and openness. That duality creates trust while maintaining power. Think about this. People respect a man who seems transparent but is impossible to fully read. That mystery elevates you. It keeps rivals cautious, allies attentive, and followers dependent on your clarity when you choose to give it. The ruthless truth is this: knowledge is ammunition. The less others have on you, the stronger your position becomes. Learn to dominate conversations without revealing yourself. Listen twice as much as you speak. Make silence your shield and information your sword. Here's a brutal truth most men can't stomach. Your enemies are more useful than your friends. Friends support you, but enemies sharpen you. Machiavelli taught that a wise ruler should not fear enemies. He should exploit them. Enemies give you something priceless: leverage. Their opposition creates opportunities for you to show strength, to demonstrate resilience, and to rally others behind you. If someone attacks you, don't rush to silence them. Use their hostility to expose their flaws, to turn public opinion, or to gather sympathy. Even better, sometimes an enemy can be turned into an ally, not out of trust, but out of mutual interest. Nothing is more dangerous than two former enemies standing together, united by ambition. Think of politics, think of business, think of war. Rivalries create alliances. The man who knows how to use opposition instead of fearing it becomes unstoppable. If you face no enemies, you're either weak or irrelevant. And if you do have enemies, congratulations, you're on the path of power. Now use them as stepping stones, not roadblocks. Machiavelli's most controversial lesson: it's better to be feared than loved, but never hated. Why? Because fear commands respect. Fear establishes authority faster than affection ever could. But hatred is toxic. Hatred fuels rebellion, betrayal, and revenge. The balance is subtle but powerful. So how do you walk that line? You demonstrate strength consistently. You set boundaries that are never crossed. You enforce consequences with absolute certainty. That builds fear, not terror, but respect rooted in awareness of your power. At the same time, you show fairness, you reward loyalty, and you avoid cruelty for cruelty's sake. People can fear you while still admiring you. Machiavelli warned rulers to avoid unnecessary brutality, because nothing unites people faster than shared hatred of a tyrant. Instead, be feared for your discipline, your decisiveness, and your willingness to do what others cannot. That fear breeds order, and order sustains power. Remember, loved men are taken advantage of, hated men are plotted against, but feared men, respected men, they last. Rigid men break. Adaptable men conquer. Machiavelli's writings are filled with warnings against those who cling to one method, one strategy, one way of life. The world changes constantly, and if you don't change with it, you get left behind or destroyed. Adaptability doesn't mean abandoning your core values. It means reshaping tactics to fit the battlefield. A ruthless leader doesn't complain about circumstances. He bends circumstances to his will. If the environment shifts, he shifts faster. If new tools appear, he masters them first. Adaptability is the ultimate weapon because it makes you unpredictable. In business, this means pivoting before competitors do. In relationships, this means reading emotional currents before they surface. In personal life, it means embracing growth instead of clinging to comfort. Machiavelli understood that fortune favors the bold, but fortune also favors the flexible. The dangerously smart man never fights the same battle the same way twice. He adapts, he adjusts, he wins. Here's where Machiavelli offends the idealists. He taught that a ruler should appear moral, but behind closed doors, act only with strategy. Why? Because people don't want truth. They want an image, a story, a hero to believe in. Morality is perception, not reality. The ruthless lesson here is to manage your appearance. Present yourself as virtuous, reliable, principled. Let people believe you live by the same codes they do. But in practice, never bind yourself to morality when it conflicts with results. Principles mean nothing if they weaken your position. Machiavelli argued that successful leaders must learn to lie, manipulate, and deceive when necessary, not as a lifestyle, but as a tool. Think about history's strongest figures. They spoke of justice, fairness, and honor, but their private strategies were filled with deception, negotiation, and calculated ruthlessness. That's not hypocrisy, that's power. The dangerously smart man knows this. Perception builds loyalty, strategy builds results. To combine them is to become untouchable. Men think generosity wins loyalty. They think giving more makes them loved. But Machiavelli destroyed that illusion. He warned that too much generosity drains resources, breeds entitlement, and makes people expect handouts. When the generosity stops, those same people turn against you. Here's the ruthless lesson. Generosity must be controlled, not constant. You give strategically, to inspire loyalty, to strengthen alliances, or to create a debt someone must repay. Your generosity is not kindness, it's an investment. You don't hand out power. You use generosity like bait, a hook hidden in a gift. Machiavelli explained that rulers who gave too freely found themselves bankrupt, forced to tax or oppress their people, which bred resentment. But a ruler who was frugal and calculated with generosity remained respected. He gave when it mattered most, so his gifts carried weight. That's how you must operate. Give when it benefits your image. Give when it creates leverage. Give when it cements loyalty that you can call on later. But never give simply to be liked. The dangerously smart man knows that generosity, without calculation, is weakness. Strategic generosity, however, that's power disguised as kindness. Here's a brutal truth. Problems never stay small. Left unchecked, they grow, spread, and multiply. Machiavelli warned rulers to strike early, to eliminate threats while they are still manageable. A man who ignores the first signs of trouble soon finds himself facing an enemy too large to destroy. In your own life, this applies everywhere. That employee who disrespects you once will do it again unless you shut it down. That friend who takes advantage of you will keep pressing unless you draw the line. That bad habit you let slide will grow until it rules your life. Machiavelli compared problems to disease. Easy to cure in the beginning, impossible once they've spread. That's why ruthlessness means acting before the problem is visible to everyone. It means eliminating threats at the root, quietly, decisively, before they bloom into something bigger. Too many men hesitate, hoping problems will fix themselves. They never do. The dangerously smart man recognizes danger early, and he doesn't flinch. He acts before others even notice. That decisiveness is the difference between leaders who stay in control and those who collapse under chaos. Machiavelli understood something men today ignore. People don't value what they have. They value what they might lose. That's why fear of loss creates stronger loyalty than love or gratitude ever could. Think about relationships, business, alliances. If someone believes your presence is guaranteed, they grow careless. They take you for granted. But if they know losing you means losing protection, opportunity, or access, suddenly, their loyalty sharpens. They cling to you, not out of affection, but out of survival. This is not cruelty. It's human psychology. Machiavelli argued that rulers should design systems where subjects feared the consequences of disloyalty more than they enjoyed the benefits of loyalty. That way, loyalty becomes a survival instinct. You must learn to build the same dynamic. Don't just reward loyalty, make disloyalty costly. Make your absence feel like a punishment. Be the man whose approval is worth fighting for, whose rejection feels like exile. Fear of loss makes you indispensable. And when you are indispensable, you are untouchable. Cruelty. The word alone terrifies men because they imagine brutality, mindless violence, or oppression. But Machiavelli separated foolish cruelty from strategic cruelty. He argued that cruelty, when used rarely and decisively, can actually prevent greater bloodshed. The danger is inconsistency. A cruel ruler who acts randomly is hated, but one who uses cruelty with purpose, to eliminate a threat, to send a message, or to establish order, gains stability. Cruelty becomes a tool, not a weakness. In modern life, cruelty doesn't always mean physical harm. It can mean cutting people off without warning, firing an employee without hesitation, ending relationships that drain you, no matter how much they beg. These acts may look harsh, but they protect your power, your time, and your mission. Machiavelli taught that cruelty should be swift and final. One decisive act is more effective than constant small punishments. In other words, if you must be ruthless, do it once, do it thoroughly, and do it in a way that others will never forget. That's not sadism, that's strategy. Finally, Machiavelli taught that fortune, luck, opportunity, chance, rules half of life. But the other half is in your control. The weak man waits for luck. The smart man prepares for it. The dangerously smart man creates the conditions to seize it when it arrives. Machiavelli compared fortune to a river, wild, unpredictable, sometimes destructive. You can't control when it floods, but you can build dams, walls, and channels to guide its power when it comes. That means preparation. That means building skills, networks, and systems long before opportunity knocks. When fortune appears, only the bold seize it. But boldness without preparation is suicide. You must be both daring and ready. The man who acts too cautiously misses his chance. The man who acts recklessly burns out. The balance is preparation plus bold action. This is the essence of dangerous intelligence. To live as though fortune will come, and to train yourself so thoroughly that when it does, you're the only one strong enough to grab it. Fortune favors the bold, but only the bold who built themselves into weapons before the storm arrived.